It started on a rainy night, the kind where the wind howls through the trees and shadows twist like living things. I had been driving for hours trying to escape the city when my car broke down on a deserted road. The headlights barely cut through the darkness, and the nearest house I could see was a decrepit cabin at the edge of the woods. Desperate for help, I got out and walked toward it, the gravel crunching under my boots echoing like gunshots in the silence. As I approached the door, the smell hit me first. Musty, decaying wood mixed with something sharper, metallic, almost like blood. I hesitated, my hand trembling as I reached for the handle, but the door swung open by itself, creaking on rusted hinges. Inside, the air was thick and cold, and the smell grew stronger.
It was supposed to be a simple camping trip with friends, deep in the forest far from the city lights. But as night fell, the forest changed. The wind stopped completely, and the usual sounds of crickets and owls vanished, replaced by a heavy, suffocating silence. My friends laughed nervously around the campfire, but I felt a cold prickle on my neck, like someone or something was watching. As we sat roasting marshmallows, I noticed shadows moving beyond the ring of firelight. At first I thought it was the trees swaying, but the movements were too deliberate, too, human. I called out, but no one answered. My friends joked that it was just my imagination, but I couldn't shake the feeling that we were not alone. Later, I woke to a faint whispering. At first I thought it was the wind, but the words became clear. Leave. Now. My heart raced.
It began when I moved into the old apartment downtown. The rent was suspiciously low, but I didn't care. I needed a place to stay. On the first night, everything seemed normal, though I couldn't shake the feeling that the apartment was alive. The walls seemed to breathe, expanding and contracting in the corners of my vision, and shadows lingered just a second too long. I told myself it was exhaustion, just nerves from moving in. The second night, I heard it, a faint scratching behind the bedroom wall. I pressed my ear to it, and it stopped. I laughed nervously, convincing myself it was a rat or some plumbing. But then I heard a soft knock on the door, even though I lived alone. The knocking continued even when I opened it, coming from inside the apartment. By the third night, the strange occurrences escalated. Objects shifted when I wasn't looking, books fallen from shelves, furniture slightly moved.
I woke up in the middle of the night to the sound of whispers coming from the hallway. At first I thought it was my imagination, but the whispering grew louder, clearer, calling my name. I grabbed my phone and tried to turn on the light, but the hallway remained pitch black, swallowing the glow. Then I saw it, a tall, shadowy figure standing at the end, completely still, watching me. My heart raced as I backed into my room, but every door I tried to open led to the same dark hallway. The whispers became screams echoing in my ears, and I realized I wasn't alone. It had been waiting for me.
I was walking home late when I noticed a girl staring at me from the window of an empty house. Her face was pale, eyes wide and unblinking, and she didn't move as I passed. Later that night, I heard tapping on my bedroom window. My heart froze when I looked up. She was there, smiling, even though the house across the street was abandoned. I backed away, but the tapping followed me around the room. No matter where I turned, she was always outside, waiting.
I was home alone when I heard my bedroom door creak open slowly. At first, I thought it was the wind. Then a voice whispered my name, soft, low, and unmistakably familiar. I froze, heart pounding, and called out, but there was no answer. The whisper came again, closer this time, right behind me. I spun around, and the doorway was empty, but I could still feel it, breathing, waiting, just beyond the door.
I woke up to the sound of footsteps slowly descending the stairs. I live alone. My heart raced as I listened. The steps stopped right outside my bedroom door. I turned on the light, but the hallway was empty. Then I saw it, a dark, shifting shadow stretching from the staircase into my room, moving closer, and I couldn't move. It was waiting, patient, and I knew it had been standing there the entire night. It started with the sound of footsteps above my ceiling, slow and deliberate, even though I live alone in a one-story house. At first I tried to ignore it, telling myself it was the old house settling, but the footsteps continued every night, always at the same hour. One night, curiosity got the better of me. I grabbed a flashlight and crept to the attic door. The old wooden stairs groaned under my weight as I climbed, and a cold draft hit my face, carrying a faint metallic smell, like rusted blood. When I reached the attic, the beam of my flashlight fell on the far corner and I froze. A figure stood there, tall and motionless, its face obscured by shadow. The air grew heavy, almost suffocating, and I could feel its eyes on me. Piercing through the darkness, I whispered, "Who's there?" But only a low, guttural hiss replied.
I installed a voice recorder because I kept hearing noises in my room at
night, soft whispers, footsteps, breathing that wasn't mine. The first night, I played back the recording and heard nothing unusual, just static and my own breathing. But on the second night, something was different. Beneath the static, a low voice whispered my name, slow and stretched, as if it were right beside me. My chest tightened as I kept listening. The voice grew clearer, closer, until it said, "Don't turn around." I dropped the recorder and felt cold air brush against my neck. I was wide awake, frozen in place, listening to breathing behind me that didn't match my own. When I finally found the courage to look, the room was empty, but the recorder on the floor was still playing, and the voice whispered softly, excitedly, "He can hear me now."
Every night before sleeping, I made sure the chair in the corner of my room was empty. I never questioned why. It was just a rule I followed, like locking the door or turning off the lights. That night, I woke up suddenly with my heart pounding, an uneasy feeling crawling up my spine. When my eyes adjusted to the darkness, I noticed the chair had been turned to face my bed. I stared at it, confused, trying to remember if I had moved it earlier, but my mind was blank. The air felt colder than before, heavier, and the shadows around the chair looked unnaturally thick, as if they were swallowing the light. Fear slowly crept in as I pulled the blanket over my head, telling myself not to look again. I lay there in silence, counting my breaths, until a soft, creaking sound cut through the room. My body went stiff. The sound came again, closer this time.
Every night before going to sleep, I locked my bedroom door and tested the handle twice. It was a habit I never skipped. One night, I woke up to the sound of slow knocking, soft and deliberate, coming from the other side of the door. I held my breath and listened, telling myself it had to be a dream. Then the handle turned gently, as if someone were testing it the same way I always did. The knocking stopped, replaced by quiet breathing through the crack beneath the door. I felt the room grow colder as a familiar voice whispered my name, calm and patient. I didn't answer. I couldn't. The voice sighed softly and said, "You usually check the lock again." The handle twisted once more, slowly, confidently, and I realized with horror that whatever was outside knew my routine better than I did.
I always slept with a small lamp on, just enough light to keep the shadows away. One night, I woke up and noticed the lamp was off. The room felt wrong. Too quiet, too still. As my eyes adjusted, I saw a shadow standing beside my bed, darker than the darkness around it, stretching unnaturally along the wall. I held my breath, telling myself it was just my imagination. But the shadow didn't move when I did. Slowly, it leaned closer, its shape bending in ways a human body shouldn't. I felt the weight of its gaze pressing down on me, cold and patient. My chest tightened as I realized it wasn't casting the shadow, it was the shadow. Then, inches from my face, a voice whispered from the darkness, calm and familiar, "You sleep better when I'm here."
I always turned off the closet light before going to sleep. Every night. So when I woke up and saw a thin line of light spilling out from beneath the closet door, my stomach tightened. I lay still, listening, but the room was completely silent. The light didn't flicker. It didn't move. It just waited. After a long moment, I whispered for it to turn off. The light grew brighter. I heard a soft shuffling sound from inside the closet, followed by slow, careful breathing. Then something pressed against the door from the other side, casting a warped shadow through the crack. A voice whispered softly from inside, calm and familiar. I was wondering how long it would take you to notice.
The night was unnaturally quiet, the kind of silence that makes your own breathing sound too loud. Every step forward feels heavier, as if the house itself is watching, waiting for a mistake. A faint sound echoes from somewhere deep inside, not quite a whisper, not quite a cry. The air turns cold, and the walls seem closer now, pressing in with every second that passes. Suddenly, the sound stops. Complete silence. Then from behind the camera, a slow, uneven breath can be heard. The viewer realizes something is standing there, just out of sight. The shadows begin to move in ways they shouldn't, stretching and twisting, forming shapes that look disturbingly human. The door slams shut without warning. One knock, then another, then silence again. The final shot reveals a message scratched into the wall, barely visible in the dim light. "You should not have come here."
It's 3:17 a.m. The camera turns on by itself. What happens next? A dimly lit room, dust floats in the air, glowing in the dark. The clock ticks loudly. Each second feels like a warning. Suddenly, a shadow forms in the corner. It's darker than the darkness. It doesn't walk. It slides silently, like the floor welcomes it. The temperature drops. A child's humming fills the room, but there's no one here. The tune is familiar, yet wrong. The camera shakes as if someone's holding it, but no hands appear. In the mirror, a pale figure stands behind me. Its eyes are hollow. The humming stops. The clock freezes. What's happening? The screen glitches. When it returns, the room is empty. But wait, fresh handprints drip down the walls. A whisper breaks the silence. You saw me. Now I can see you.
The camera captures the stillness of the night. Suddenly, the bedroom door creaks open, revealing a dark hallway. Moonlight spills across the floor, illuminating a trail of wet footprints leading to the bed. The room is eerily silent, except for a faint dripping sound echoing from the walls. A soft lullaby begins to play, its source unknown, lulling you into a false sense of security. But wait, the melody twists, becoming distorted and unsettling. The closet door starts to shake, vibrating with the haunting tune. Shadows stretch across the ceiling, moving as if they have a life of their own. Then, the lullaby stops. The footprints vanish into thin air. In the mirror, a tall figure appears behind the bed, its face hidden in darkness. It doesn't move, but its reflection smiles wider with every passing second. The camera glitches, and suddenly, the room looks normal again. Too normal.
The attic is dark and quiet, but something feels off. Can you feel it? Old furniture covered in dust, portraits with eyes that seem to follow you. Creepy, right? Suddenly, a cold gust of air slams the door shut. What was that? A shadow darts across the room, too fast to catch. Did you see it? A whisper echoes. You shouldn't be here? Chills anyone? The floorboards creak under an invisible weight. It's like they're alive. The portraits glow faintly, watching, judging. What are they waiting for? A trunk in the center of the room starts to creak open. What's inside? A pale hand hovers above the camera. It's not just your imagination. The trunk slams shut, lights flicker, and everything goes black. What just happened? A chilling message appears. You are not alone. Are you scared yet? If you dare, follow for more spine-tingling tales.
A phone rings on the floor of a dark, abandoned apartment. The screen flashes, unknown caller. It keeps ringing, but no one answers. Silence creeps in, replaced by a low, static hum. The camera pulls back, revealing dust-covered furniture. It feels like no one has lived here for years. Suddenly, the phone lights up again. A voicemail plays by itself. A distorted voice whispers, "If you're hearing this, it means I didn't make it out." Footsteps echo from the hallway, slow and uneven. They stop right outside the room. The door handle begins to turn, inch by inch, but the door never opens. The camera shifts to a cracked TV screen. It reflects the empty room. Then a figure appears. Its face is blurred, twitching unnaturally. The voicemail screams, "Don't turn around!" The lights flicker violently, plunging the room into darkness. When the lights return, the phone is gone. Fresh words are carved into the floor. You answered.
A deserted hospital corridor stretches out, lit only by eerie red emergency lights. The air is thick with tension. You can almost feel the heartbeat of the alarm echoing in the distance. As I walk forward, I pass open doors. Empty rooms, overturned beds, curtains swing without a breeze. It feels like something is watching me. Suddenly, a wheelchair rolls across the frame, crashing into the wall. The alarm stops. Silence hangs heavy in the air. Then I hear it. A faint crying, low and broken, coming from one of the rooms. My heart races as I approach. I step inside, revealing a dark room with a single hospital bed facing the wall. The crying morphs into whispering. Words overlap, repeating, "Don't let it see you." My skin crawls as the heart monitor beside the bed turns on by itself.
It's 2:46 a.m. The living room is silent, but something feels off. The ceiling fan spins, clicking softly. A blanket rises and falls on the couch. Suddenly, the fan stops. The blanket sinks flat. What just happened? The timestamp glitches, jumping back a few seconds. This is creepy. A soft scratching sound comes from the walls. It's getting closer. The front door handle shakes gently. Something is testing it. The camera zooms in on the hallway. What's lurking there? A tall, dark shape peeks around the corner. It's unnatural. The scratching stops. Now there's slow, deliberate breathing. The blanket on the couch rises again, forming a shape. What is that? A distorted voice whispers, "You left the camera on." The screen fills with static. Timestamp changes to now. What just happened? Don't let this happen to you. Check your security now.